to be here. You can't hear me. I'll try a little louder. I want to thank the pastor for opening his house for us all to be here tonight, and thank you all for being here as well. I'm going to speak about a few things. First, I want to introduce some folks. Destiny Riley from my staff is in the front row, and I'm introducing these folks so that if there's some particular issue that my office can help with, come talk to Destiny. Also from my office, there may be more observers, are Christian Washington and Aaliyah McNeely, and then Monique Diop, who many of you should know. The ward has been, she's standing right in the aisle. She has been with the Ward 8 office for a number of years, and Jules is also here from the Ward 8 office, standing right, standing right there. So I'll begin with that. As you know, Wanda Lockridge. I'm not going to have to introduce everybody. Wanda Lockridge, who was the chief of staff in the Ward 8 office. Sheila Bund, who is not in the Ward 8 office. Anybody else? Sorry about that. So when the Ward 8 council member was expelled from the council, I took on the staff, all of the Ward 8 staff, so that they did not become immediately unemployed. And especially important in my view is that there continue to be constituent services available to Ward 8 residents. So that office is still open, and the number is on the website. So if you have constituent concerns, I mentioned Destiny, but Monique as well, and or go to the council's website, www.dccouncil.gov, and you can get the number for the Ward 8 office, and you can call. I think it's important that with regard to any constituent issues, concerns, whatever they may be, personal or something with the city services, that you're able to call the office. You can always call at-large council members. I'm an at-large council member. You can call any of our offices as well to help, because we all represent you. So I wanted to talk about a couple things and then open the floor to questions. And I think the way we're doing questions, if you can't tell us, the microphone's there, so line up when we get there. There's been a lot in the news this week about what this Congress is doing to the district with regard to our budget. What they are doing is, in their dysfunction, where they don't seem to be able to do anything well, they are once again passing the buck with regard to adopting a budget for the federal government this year. This year began last October 1st. That's the fiscal year. They had a continuing resolution last fall. If I remember correctly, they did a second continuing resolution. That continuing resolution allows the government to stay open through this Friday. So they now have to do another continuing resolution. When they circulated that on Saturday, to our complete shock and surprise, they left out language that's been in every continuing resolution for the last decade, which says that the district can spend at current year funding levels. We adopted our budget last June. It's a balanced budget. Congress thinks, and they are ultimately, for better or worse, under the Constitution, they have what we call plenary authority, so they think they adopt our budget. So we have been acting lawfully with a budget that we adopted last June. But the language in this continuing resolution omits the language, the provision that says we can continue to operate at our current budget.
Imagine that.
Mm-hmm. And instead, the continuing resolution says everybody, including the district, has to operate at last year's spending levels. Now, I don't like what the White House and Congress is doing to all the federal agencies. I'm guessing most of you don't like what they're doing. They're treating us like an agency, saying we can just spend less. It's about $1 billion less for us. So if this goes through without the language being put back in that they omitted, then beginning this weekend, presumably we would have to reduce our spending by about $1 billion. And that's $1 billion, that's 1 year spending reduction that we would have to do in the remaining 6 months of this fiscal year. That's a big hit. Now, I did talk to the chief financial officer this afternoon. He indicated, well, he's not going to stop writing checks on Saturday. So it's not like all of a sudden on Monday, teachers are furloughed and police officers are furloughed. But this is very serious. We're trying to see if we can figure out a solution should we not be able to get the language back in. It's a little bit more complicated in that as important as the District of Columbia is to all of us, to each of us, this battle between the Democrats and the Republicans over the continuing resolution and whether the government shuts down, this is national stuff. And we are like not of concern to them. So we are desperately trying, the mayor, council members, we are trying really hard to try to get the Senate, now the Senate, to just somebody please introduce this, this paragraph that was omitted. It's not, as far as we can tell, it's not that they're intentionally trying to hurt us. Although you could say that if they don't care, they are intentionally trying to hurt us.
I'm about to say, what you call it?
It's that if the Senate amends it, then the House has to go back to the House, and the House went out. The House went out of session because I think they were trying to jam the Democrats in the Senate. You see, it's all this national politics where we are a victim. So this is very much of concern. It affects this year's spending. We are trying to figure out whether we could figure out a workaround should we not be able to get the language in the Senate. How can you all be helpful? Call senators. Majority Leader John Thune, he's the one who really sort of controls this on the Republican side. Susan Collins, who's a Republican, chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Those are probably the two most important folks. You can call Democrats, but Democrats are all being sympathetic and helpful. Remember, this is very much partisan, and so the Republicans don't want the Democrats to be able to do anything. So you can talk to Democrats. You'll actually feel good if you do, because they've been helpful and responsive and sensitive. But those two senators are probably the most important. If you want to call any other senator, do it, please. The more energy you've got, the more it helps. They need to hear from folks. My understanding is that there are some organized groups of parents who are going to be going up to the Capitol tomorrow. If you know any of them, or a PTO or PTA, join them if you have that energy and that time. All of this would be helpful. Councilmember Charles Allen texted me this evening to say that the increasing noise that district residents are making is beginning to be heard in the Senate. Does that mean they're ready to change their mind? No, but it is helpful. This is a battle, if you will, and so speaking out can be helpful. Separately but related, the budget. So the mayor's supposed to send us a budget for next fiscal year on April 2nd. And I expect that that budget is not going to be pretty. We're looking at roughly, I'm going to say roughly $800 million in cuts. Just because expenses have gone up and our revenues for next year, not this year, but next year, are expected to go down. The Chief Financial Officer issued revenue estimates, and we have to abide by those revenue estimates. And the amount of money that's available to us next year is about $340 million less than what we have this year. I mean, actually less than what we have this year. And our meanwhile expenses have gone up, like the new teacher's contract. That's an additional, if I remember correctly, 2.5%, I think, for next year. So costs are going up, revenues are going down, and that's why there are going to have to be some cuts. I don't know what the mayor's going to submit. We will find out on April 2nd, but expect that it's going to be a challenge, and it's likely that the council will not be able to add new programs, but that we'll see if we can maintain important programs, or programs that are important to all of us. The mayor has said that her priorities are public safety and public education and economic development, so that we can reverse the decline in our revenues and grow our tax base more. She's also mentioned public health, but kind of in the sense of quality of life as another important strategy. So I think we'll see less cuts.
Housing is quality of life. You know what I'm saying? They ain't talking about what we're talking about.
We will see. So that's going to be difficult. as chair of the council, I chair the committee of the whole. The committee of the whole has oversight over public education. Schools have gotten, DCPS schools have gotten their budgets, their initial budgets, and the mayor has announced the UPSFF, that's the funding formula for schools, for public education. That's going up, I think it's 2.7%, and then schools have gotten their individual budgets. I'm not sure that the mayor got them quite right, but it's certainly not as devastating as we've seen in previous years. So I expect that we, meaning my committee, the committee of the whole, is on the education staff, we will be going over the education budgets carefully. In my view, with regard to DCPS, spending in our schools is the most important thing. I care about spending in our schools more than spending in central administration for DCPS. The only other thing I want to mention quickly is that we continue to see that even though there's too much crime in this city, crime statistics are lower this year than they were last year, and they were substantially lower last year than the year before. Now, if there's a robbery on your block, that's one robbery too many, any violent crime. So I don't want to be saying this is a pretty picture, but it is better than it's been. And I'm pleased that the mayor is saying that public safety continues to be a priority. I think it's important.
She don't have a
for all of us
choice.
to
Trump
choose
ain't
our
gonna have it no
quality
other
life.
way.
But it's also important if we want new residents to come into the city, if we want businesses to stay in the city and we need their taxes, then everybody needs to feel safe, and safer than they feel now. If there are questions about public safety, if I can't answer them, I'm going to turn to the commander, who's here. So I think with that, I'm happy to take questions. I kind of like questions, even though I do the long answers. You have to get in the line. Or you have to get Monique's permission. Whichever is easier. And be quick with the questions, because I can see it's going to be a long line.
But last the kids gonna have summer jobs.
Tanya, you're going to go up and ask a question?
The kids going to have summer jobs?
You are?
Well, as I
Okay.
said, we are,
Get
if we
somebody on
can't
my
get the
phone.
language in the continuing resolution that we need
You going up?
to keep our
Are you
budget,
going up to ask a
then we're going to
question?
have to see if we can figure out a workaround. If we get the language back in the continuing resolution, don't look at me that
Are you
way.
going up to
Don't look
ask
at
a
Carson. Don't look at Carson.
Oh no.
Okay, well, hold my phone for me. In the meantime, I'll go up and hold the space.
All right, I'm going up there and hold it.
Yeah.
If we have to figure out a workaround, we, council and the mayor, are going to do everything we can to see that there's summer jobs. Thank you.
Hi, yes, I'm Amari Blakey, a preschool lead teacher. My question is, how do you all plan to support community-based organizations? Before you respond, I'm hearing that we're looking for that language to be placed back into policy, but let's say that's not the case, then all of the questions will look like we're trying to do what we need to do, but are we choosing the lesser of two evils?
Are you talking about community schools?
Community-based organizations.
CBOs.
PK, yes.
Well, PK,
PK,
yes.
community-based organizations, we depend on funding, fundraising, all of those things here.
Well, let me talk about PKEEP. So
Yes.
PKEEP is pre-K education. I forget exactly what it stands for.
Expansion, yes.
And
So I also
so
heard,
let me just say with regard to PKEEP. Last year, the mayor, when she submitted a budget, if I remember correctly, she either zeroed it out or cut it substantially, and we were able to find money, and I put it back in the budget.
yeah,
I don't know if we're going to go through that exercise again this year.
okay.
If the mayor leaves it in the budget, no problem, and the council will support it. If the mayor takes it out of the budget, and that's possible because she has to find cuts, then we will do everything we can to find money. I recognize the importance of PKEEP, and I also recognize that quality education starts with kids the youngest they are.
Yeah.
I mean, get them as young as you can.
Yes.
And when I was growing up, we thought of that as just being childcare, but we recognize now that it's early education,
It's foundation.
and it makes a difference in terms of kids' progress in elementary school.
Yeah.
So PKEEP's important.
It's important, but are we doing what we need to do? Or again, are we just gonna choose the lesser of two evils?
Are you talking about the funding again?
Yes,
In the end, I can only repeat myself. If the mayor puts it in, we will support it. If the mayor doesn't put it in, we'll try to find the money.
thank you.
I can say that a little bit more. When the mayor submits a budget, it's balanced. Think of a pie. If I'm going to increase the size of this slice, I'm going to have to reduce the size of another slice. It's complicated, so I do not know what our options are until I see the budget.
Great job.
Are we walk off?
Good evening. Brittany Hall, Ward 8 resident for 31 years, business owner in Ward 8. I own a child care center down the street for 42 years. To support her question, definitely we need to keep PK in our programs. We need to stabilize and to make sure that CEOs can stay in business. We're nationally accredited. We are high quality designated, and we've been servicing 100% subsidy for the past 42 years. And I just feel that if you would please take into consideration to definitely keep funding the pay equity fund. Our teachers deserve it. Our teachers work hard to deserve this type of money. We lay a firm foundation for the children, for the children's education. So early education are the stepping stones to progress, and they get a very, very firm foundation with ECE programs and with the pay equity fund supporting the teachers' livelihoods. And these people have gotten, for the past couple of years, they've elevated their life, their way of their living, their families living. They've sent their children to college, they go to college, they've bought cars for transportation, they've furthered their education upon request of the city council. They're furthering education and making sure that they are capable of still providing quality care and education for our children, especially in Ward 8. Thank you. Please make sure we still get funded for pay equity. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that. I already spoke about PK. And again, I do not know what we'll be able to do until I know what the mayor's proposed. Now last year, when the mayor submitted the budget, she zeroed out pay equity. And I was able to find the money to restore to $70 million a year. I expect that the mayor is going to propose a cut. I'm hopeful that she will not propose to eliminate it this year. It is a very big chunk of money in a year when there has to be a substantial cuts to the budget. Just so you all understand with regard to pay equity, so when I spoke earlier about pre-K, it was about subsidizing childcare, which is important. It helps working families to work, as well as, of course, it provides childcare, which can be educational or foundational, as you said. Pay equity is about the workers, the educators who provide that childcare. And what we have, as a government, have done over the years, which I think is important, is good, is that we've said that these childcare workers have to be trained, they have to have certificates, they have to have skills that we didn't used to think of when it was just childcare. Now, if we're going to require those additional skills, then we ought to pay. And unfortunately, the childcare business doesn't pay very well. And so this program, this pay equity program, provides additional dollars. And it's made a real difference. And we are seen around the country as being a leader in terms of early childhood education. So that's what pay equity is about. I get the importance. I would say the entire council gets the importance. And I am hopeful that we will, I am optimistic that we will be able to continue the program, but I don't know whether we'll be able to keep the current level.
Okay. And I understand the furthering education, the importance of supporting the growth of education of our early learners. And it's not just certification that our teachers are receiving. They're receiving degrees. They're receiving A's, BA's, and even master's degrees.
Yes.
And so I feel that they should be rightfully compensated for this stuff, for going to school. They have families that they have support. They work full-time jobs and go to school, back to school, and still take care of their families. So it's a lot that they've put into the efforts, still trying to follow their passion and taking care of their love.
Let's get to the person behind you.
Okay.
He right though. He right.
I am a landlord, generational, Ward 8 landlord. And so my question to you is concerning the vouchers. A lot of our the tenants and things like that, they're just snatching, they're removing them from the program. I know, and I want to ask you about Mayor Bowser's Rent Act, the proposal for the legislation Rent Act. What is the status, or do you know anything of that? Also, last year there was a $300 million rent deficit, which puts people in jeopardy. You know, we have enough homeless people, but on our side, we don't have the support that we need to keep people, you know, in house. And so we're just trying to get help. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. We're small landlords, you know, and we're just trying to hold on to what we have, but also trying to keep housing, you know, for the people. So
Yes.
Kim's answer.
So let me see, there was a lot that you threw out there. I'm trying to remember where to start on this. The mayor's bill.
Yeah.
So the mayor, big press conference maybe a month ago about this legislation that was comprehensive, dealing with rental housing. Half the bill actually consists of bills that have already been introduced in the council and are making their way through. There is other stuff until after the budget meeting in June. That's just because even though
tell me something
press
that's wrong the phone, you
conference,
know.
the bill until last week. The council is very concerned about the challenge that landlords, and it sounds like you're one, have had with renters who are not paying their rent. And we adopted legislation in the fall to make it easier for landlords to be able to evict those tenants who are not paying their rent. And my office gets requests for rental assistance from folks who owe $20,000, $30,000 in back rent.
Yeah.
And
Ain't making enough money.
I find that really challenging. And you, as a landlord, are paying that cost, covering that cost. So we are looking at other ways of trying to help with landlords with regard to, you know, if somebody's not paying that kind of rent, then you need to be able to move quickly to re-rent that apartment.
I mean, we just have, because we're working people too, you know, and so it's just not fair. We get to the courts, it takes a year to 2 years, so.
Now, there's another problem, you reminded me, there's another problem.
Yes.
And this is just exhibit B, C, or D of why Congress should leave us alone. We do not appoint our judges. The President of the United States nominates our judges, the Senate confirms them. Last December, Congress went out of session with, I think it was 10 nominations that had not been acted on. Right now, about a quarter of the bench is vacant in the Superior Court, which means there's a backup at all of the courts. Landlord-tenant court, backup. Criminal court, backup. Civil court, backup. And that's because the Senate is not moving on nomination. Now, all those nominations died. Now, President Trump has to nominate or submit new nominations. There's a process for that. He doesn't just get the pick. He gets three, for every position, he gets 3 nominees that are sent to him by the Judicial Nominations Commission, a local agency. But in any event, that's part of the problem as well. Now, you started out asking about vouchers.
Yes.
DHCD is a mess right now. We funded about 600 additional vouchers, and we funded it from money that we found from a number of different sources. DHCD just simply made it up that we had took the money from existing programs. Not true. False. It's a lie. But as a result, the vouchers that we put in the budget, DHCD is not putting out there. Now there's a line behind it, so thank you.
Right.
Thank you for being here. Kamala, my question is around the PQ and PID. And I know you said the mayor might at least cut the budget, but I want to hear from you at least. Is there a guarantee that we can at least maintain the same funding and you guys can work to manage to at least maintain the same funding for this year?
Well, it would be wonderful if I said it's guaranteed, but I can't do that. I just cannot do that. I don't know what else she's going to propose. I don't know what programs will be cut. I don't think this will happen, but just to illustrate the point, if she were to cut MPD by 100, 200 officers, I think public safety is really critical, and we would need to restore that.
They ain't doing their job
I don't know what our
nobody.
choices are going to be, so that's why I can't guarantee
Right.
anything. But I understand the importance of peaking.
Thank you.
I understand the importance of pay equity. Last year I found money and put it in for PP, and last year I found money and I put it in for pay equity. And I restored, I see Travis in the front row nodding his head, I found $70 million for pay equity. So I'm definitely there. The question is whether I'll be able to find the money.
So please find it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, hello.
Get up
We
to
meet
this
again.
question.
After all these years. So I'm from the DC Statehood Party, which was here before the Democrat Party. We're asking, what is our government doing, our local government doing in terms of organizing the community people for the oncoming laws of home rule? Because regardless of whether or not it's legal or illegal, we know the person in office doesn't care whether it's illegal or not. He's going to do it and say, hey, I'll take this court later on. So what are we doing to organize people to resist this, or what can we do? For instance, you suggested calling congressmen, the Republican congressmen. Democrat Party, you guys got control of the city. You should be soliciting individual people all across the city to say, hey, can I get you to call this such and such a time and organize it? Because this asking for all
Or put on the
here
news.
may not be the effective way to do it. But you guys got control of the city, something for everybody in the city. Second thing, I'll just let you go with that. We need to have demonstrations up on the hill of notable people. For instance, have a child brigade, make it a civil civics class for high school and junior high school, maybe even elementary school, and go up on Capitol Hill with a whole bunch of kids. Call up all the veterans. All the veterans, I'm a veteran, other people in your veterans too. Put on your flag, and go and say, hey, we're veterans in Washington, D.C., and we ain't got no democracy. These are things that you, the Democrats, can do. We try to do it. Nobody voted for us, but that's still cool. It's still the lower opposition.
Yes, but I think that on the issues that we have right now, like this continuing resolution, we're all in this together. So this is not state party or Democratic Party. This is all of us. And we are seeing right now that, the current crisis is a good organizing tool. And so people are relearning that they need to be making the phone calls or be thinking about going up to the hill. Sometimes a demonstration or a protest would be appropriate. We think right now, this week, that a protest, like, people with lots of signs and so forth, that's not the way to go. But people going up there and going to different offices will be very helpful.
But you need to be organizing it now, be ready to do it when you need to do it. You don't try to have a demonstration on the spur of the moment. So you need to talk to people, get numbers, get in the department, and the government says, hey, we're going to be organizing this and have it organized.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to use that to go someplace where maybe I shouldn't go. But there are different levels of frustration among all of us in our community. And some people think that we need to be really pushing back really hard and in your face with the president. And other people think that we need to pick our battles and kind of stay out of trouble unless it's something that's really important. I'm sort of in between. So if you've been paying attention to what different elected folks say, I think the mayor is trying to be very careful that she's not pissing off the White House. When you look at my comments, I am more critical, but I tend not to be critical of the White House, but rather the federal government. And I've not been bashful about criticizing the federal government. On January 2nd, when we all got sworn in, I spent a couple minutes in my address speaking about how if Congress thinks that they can get rid of home rule and run the city, well, let's just review what a crappy job they did when they were running the city and how good a job we're doing now. And let me just say, we can all look at how the city can be doing better, but this city is much better than it was when Congress was running it. We are financially strong. We have a lot of programs. Even with pay equity, we're a leader in the country. Can't say that about before home rule. Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir. So, Mr. Mendelson?
We can just say hey, you.
I don't think so.
Born and raised in Ward 8, actually live right down the street. When I leave here, walk home. So I'm here really not to speak to you, but to speak to us. All right. So as a community in the 60s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, we came together when everybody else was against us, and we organized and we did stuff, we got stuff done. Now is that time where we need to do that again, first and foremost. So, having said that, I am here to let individuals know I got 10 slots. I started a not-for-profit called Cold Black Academy, and what I do is I teach young minorities, ages 18 to 24, how to code and develop software completely free. We provide the laptops, we provide the training material. I've been speaking with Stewart and Jamila about making use of the
I'm coming at you.
Instead of going up to our council people and getting the door closed, it's time for us to start taking care of ourselves and take care of each other. Everyone in here has a skill that we can offer someone and teach someone. We need to start taking care of us. So, I'll be real brief. Marcus Garvey once said, a people without the knowledge of past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. So we all know what's going on right now with them whitewashing our history, saying stuff like slaves learned skills and we were immigrants and things of that nature. I'm not going to curse, but that's straight BS. So the first thing that I did to combat that was I created an app called Black Heritage Day. Get a chance, go to Apple Play, or go to the Google Store, Black Heritage Day. What it does is offer Black history event. It gets down to individuals who have been doing things throughout history that we never heard about. Now, if you know someone between the ages of 18 and 24, and you think that they would be good for a program and want to learn how to develop software and build apps and make money for free, holler at me. I'm about taking care of the neighborhood.
Thank you. Hello, Ms. Hamilton.
Good evening, Mr. Mendelson. I'm calling you doctor and you're calling me Miss. I appreciate you coming out to speak to the community because in our walk, as a mental health advocate, we are still encountering yesterday's concerns in housing. I heard you mention that the mayor is focused on public health being a part of this budget, possibly, but I cannot stress enough that public health dominoes into housing problems. If we don't have stable housing understandings, then I don't know how we fix everything else. My concern is we're talking about looking for revenue. We've got $40 million of uncollected housing code violations from slumlord realities that own real estates that you all could be maneuvering different, in my opinion. Additionally, we know that the mayor misspent $82 million of the Housing Production Trust Fund. So I'm hoping that since you're being made to do something different, that you will adopt a different approach and make sure that we can get proper oversights in place. Sounds like we're not catching the money that we misspent that could be put back to better use. I'm concerned that when you guys trim the budget, you still will leave these over a dozen of communities over here in Ward 8 alone that are dealing with slumlord realities. As we speak, the OAG has some of the landlords in court, but the everyday services are not happening. So it seems kind of redundant to have trash and housing falling apart, and we're being made to further reduce our budget when we still have problems of yesterday regarding housing, and I don't hear anything that sounds different. 40 million and 82 million, that's 122 million that's on us. And I want to understand what this council will do different in way of oversight so that the housing is properly addressed. And ironically, the failures in housing is what has us here, if you let the Republicans tell it. The final thing I'll make the point of is the reality of we're able to do something with our homeless in a couple of days because we're made to do it. And we couldn't do anything about it for the past. How long have I been on your list?
Yes, that's right.
The chairperson of housing, Mr. White, just said in a meeting this past Saturday that we have housing problems and we need a plan. It sounds kind of scary coming from a three-peat housing chair.
That's right.
What will you guys do different to ensure our families that their quality of living is not going to further be denigrated because you guys are trying to find money that you didn't take care of to begin with?
Sometimes the toughest questions are the right questions, so I'll just start with that. Housing is one of our biggest challenges in this city. I was asked earlier about vouchers. We put we put money in for 600 new vouchers. DHCD totally screwed it up. In the end, the execution of government is on the mayor, not on the council. We do have oversight. The oversight I have is with the Department of Buildings. So when you mention the fines, yes, the fines are a big problem, and I don't know that we're going to be able to collect them, and that's bad. Because, you know, housing code enforcement is not about making money, that is collecting fines. It's about having housing in good condition. But ultimately, for those landlords or slumlords who are just not bringing their housing up to code, the fine is important. And when the fine gets levied and not collected, then what do I want to say, false hope? Maybe not, that it's kind of like a lie in a sense to the public. Me, through the committee of the whole, we have had a number of oversight hearings of the Department of Buildings. We broke up DCRA so that there'd be more focus. I think that the Department of Buildings is doing better than the old DCRA. Better enough? No. We also have disagreed with the mayor in which he took money out of Department of Buildings. We put it back in to hire more inspectors. They've been having problems hiring inspectors. That doesn't get them off the hook. I totally get that we need to have better housing code enforcement, and related to the housing code enforcement, getting beyond just the Department of Buildings, if it requires the Attorney General to weigh in. We are seeing some enforcement going on there. Some of that enforcement is not as effective as it could be because the Department of Buildings doesn't document as well as it could. So I see these problems, and we are trying through our ability to do oversight to change the behavior of the executive branch. Oversight is not the best tool to do it, and if you say, well, why don't you pass a law, what we're really talking about is quality, the quality of housing code inspections, and you can't pass a law that makes better quality. That comes from the commitment of the mayor and the executive branch agencies. So I'm acknowledging the importance of this, which is what's in your question. I'm acknowledging the problems. I hope I'm conveying that I have a sense of what needs to happen, and we are through our limited tools, which is oversight and legislation and the budget, trying to make a difference there with housing. Is it fast enough? No. It, in my view, is inexcusable that we have buildings, a lot of buildings in this city that are really in poor condition that we want people to live in.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I'll just close with two things. One, insanity. To do the same thing, expect different results.
That's right.
You have tools out here on the community level. You know me well enough to know that we would be an asset to whatever it is that you're struggling with figuring out. But when we hear that you and the chair of the housing are not saying anything different, and we're getting these calls daily from folks whose quality of life continues to diminish, we don't have any more time, Mr. Mendelson. And now the Republicans are on our doorstep because the gig is up. Housing must be a priority. And I am concerned when you say you don't have the oversight or the tools to be able to provide proper oversight, then you got to reach out into your community pool, because failure is just not an option when we talk about their lives. And I will remind you that you're sitting on Hard Act language. If there's something about it you don't like, then I would have loved to hear back from you and Christian to understand what it is we can do, because make no mistake about it, since November 2023, you all have been presented with that Hard Act legislation, and we should have had comprehensive conversations, because all we want to understand is, regardless of what budget you're working with, that you understand that the quality of life for our citizens is poor on certain in certain wards of the city, and that has to change.
Okay. Let me just say this about oversight. Some council members are better at oversight than others. I don't know what to do about that. We have instituted training for the council members so that they can learn to do better and more effective oversight. But oversight only goes so far. I have had oversight hearings with, for instance, the chancellor regarding school attendance or school truancy, and I've had like hearing after hearing after hearing. If you watch the hearings, I think sometimes you'll see that really the chancellor is not doing a very good job in responding to our questions. But what more can I do? When a housing inspector goes out and he doesn't accurately document the housing code violations, not only do I not see that, But that's not something that we can legislate the quality, that we pass a law that says housing inspectors have to properly document. Actually, it's sort of implicit in the law. So my point is that oversight only goes so far, and when the issue is quality of the work that's being done, or I'll even put it a little differently, commitment to the mission being quality housing, or the mission being kids learning, when there's not that commitment to the mission, it's really hard for the legislative branch to make the executive branch change. Just being honest with you.
So, my name is Angela Butler. I wanted to ask you about making sure that there's room for our children with special needs, specifically our autistic kids.
Yes.
And making sure that there are services there for them. But I want to also piggyback off of what Dr. Hamilton was just talking about. I have one of the parents of those children on the phone who is also experiencing some very negative housing issues. Her quality of life has seriously diminished. And I have one on the phone. Ms. Rose, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I wrote down what I wanted to say, so I wouldn't be all over the place. If it's okay to read it.
Go ahead, sweetie.
And I thought I'd be able to make it as well, so I'll just read what I wrote down. Thank you for giving me the space to speak today. I'm here not just as a mother, but as a woman desperately fighting for the safety and well-being of our children. For months, we have been trapped in what seems to be a nightmare, living in a unit that has been deemed uninhabitable by inspectors. My home, our home, my children has been officially placed in abatement because it is not fit for human. It's not fit for us to be here. We're forced to live in these conditions, and the damage it has done to my family is unbelievable. First, I have two children. My son, Frederick, he's 15 years old. He has already been forced to grow up far too quickly. He has severe asthma, and the living conditions in our apartment has worsened his health issues, putting his life at risk. My son had to leave our home and stay wherever I can find where to stay from day to day during the beginning of the school year. He was robbed during that time. He was robbed twice by a student who has a violent history. The trauma of those robberies compounded by the instability of our housing situation has deeply affected my son's mental and emotional health. His grades has dropped. His behavior has shifted. And it's funny that he could because he was saying it's going on with it. This is freshman year high school. This is freshman year high school. Supposed to be fun time. relocate.
How many more stories do I need to hear to understand this?
Still waiting for the right unit, waiting for approval, waiting for something that feels like it will never come. Meanwhile, my children are suffering, and I'm helpless to change it.
Hurting our children, hurting us. This is
The
ridiculous.
stress of living in an unsafe and unhealthy environment is starting to recover from the trauma we've experienced. I need this to be treated as an urgency. The delays have going on far too long. I'm asking for you to hear my story, to see our living conditions. We have had the cold hot water since September.
That don't make no sense.
Last week, since September, no hot water. It's infested with mice and roaches. It's crazy. My daughter sleeps in a bed with me back. She don't even sleep in her own room anymore because they will crawl up on her bed. I end up
Trauma.
She is in extracurricular activities. She would ask, "Mommy, can we go here? Can we go here?" Just to avoid coming home. Just the other night, she panicked. She went to go play with her American Girl doll babies, and this happened before. A mice tail was attached to her doll baby.
That's ridiculous.
And here recently, just the other day, it was roaches coming out of her doll baby collection.
Jesus.
She has a service animal. Caramel has gotten sick. It's mold behind the wall, mildew, things.
Same old conversation. It's different forms. How many times are we going to
Come back, the unit still failed inspection. It's horrible.
I'm sorry, sweetie, I don't mean to cut you off, but we only got a few minutes. So basically, she needs help.
Yes.
And I've been part of the
We all do.
when they're going back and forth and just showing her
Let me go up
they
here.
can't expedite.
Cause I'm mad now.
I know. The standards are too low. We told them that.
The requirements, she needs help, but she is not the only person that's living in these type of conditions.
No.
We have people here that are suffering from the same things. We have people right outside the door that are dealing with the same thing. So when you're talking about quality of life, I need you to really understand what people are dealing with and stop telling us that you're going to and do something.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Don't walk away. What I need is either for you or the woman who's on the phone, and let me just say, I'm really sorry. It's not my fault, but I'm sorry that she has this situation, these conditions. They're really horrible, and I think everybody heard that. But either you or her, please give Bethany or Monique her contact information so that we can reach out and try to help.
Oh my God. What they gonna do different? What are you clapping for? It's not the first time he said that.
I know that these various housing is this horrible in the city, and there's no excuse for that. But I want to add as well, she has, I think I heard her say that she has school-aged kids. How do we expect those kids to succeed?
Exactly.
If we, as the government, don't help them with the housing?
That's the question. That's the question. That's the message.
More on housing, and I'm speaking as a smaller landlord, so I can relate. And I will be quick. So what it sounds like is there's a major
Yeah. Keep on.
here on all levels: DHCD, DHA, DOB, and those are the only ones that I'm really aware of. There's a major accountability issue.
Yep.
And how do I know? Because I have several emails and several text messages of following up with individuals. You speak on slumlords. Yes, there should not be any slumlords here who are receiving vouchers.
That's right. That's right. Part that.
If there's a slumlord that's receiving the vouchers, that's the city's fault.
That's right. Tell them again. Tell them again.
And I have tenants, and they absolutely love me because I see my tenants as human beings, and that is $1.
That's right.
So they come and you can interview them, and they absolutely love me because I take care of them. I take care of my property. I personally go out and I clean. I personally go and sweep my hallways and mop my hallways
That's right.
When they call me, I have insurance that is factored in to make sure that they have livable accommodations.
That's right.
There should not be anything, we should not be mentioning slumlords ever if they're receiving vouchers.
That's right.
You guys need to go back and check. If they're not taking care of their properties, that woman that was just on that phone, everybody's heart should be broken.
That's right. The job should be gone.
I couldn't catch if she said she had a voucher or not. But if she did, why are we paying? Because these are tax dollars. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a taxpaying citizen. Why are we paying rent if she's living in inhabitable conditions? A dollar should not be sent to that landlord until every citation has been abated.
Hard act.
Until every citation should be abated.
That's right.
You're still padding their bank.
That's right.
And a lot of these landlords, they don't even live in the city.
That's
they
right.
are invested.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
When you have individuals like myself, born and raised in Washington,
That's right.
I went off to school, but I came back. I intentionally moved.
That's right.
Back into the city, not for money, because I wanted to
care
make an
about your
impact.
city.
I
That's
wanted
right.
to be a part of affordable housing. My mother was on a system. She used it as a tool.
Yes.
It was not nothing that she took advantage of. So this is the city's problem for accountability. Hold them accountable. Slum tenants. Now, I'm not going to put it all on the landlords. Slum tenants.
That's right.
Because you have tenants who they know this system like the back of their hand.
Yep.
And they have been allowed to take advantage of the system. Hold them accountable. That's right. There should be, we can't factor in their credit report when we are,
screening them.
When we are screening our tenants, we can't factor, but you should. There should be no reason that a tenant is quitting their job a month or two before it's time to recertify. So that they could get full rent paid.
That's right.
And then
Speak. They go back to work.
And they get another job.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. That should not be happening. You should be able to pull their credit report, pull their job history, cross-reference them, make sure we're checking to assure them. And if they don't, if you see that there's a pattern, they don't need it. There are individuals who are on the system who are using these vouchers. They live better than I do.
That's right.
They dress better than I do. If you are getting tax dollars and you are on housing subsidy, why am I seeing a less? Why am I seeing a Benz?
I don't see any keys.
Why am I seeing Gucci bag?
That's right. You need oversight. You need a task force.
And I put on here the caseworkers because I reached out to the caseworkers.
Yeah.
And me, just like I tell my students, email. Don't you start another thread. You go back to that initial email and you follow up and say, per my previous conversation. You continue to follow up with that same email and you will see people are not doing their jobs. So nobody is holding them accountable. And the ERAP, stop allowing these people to
That's right.
or ERAP every year because I know personally somebody firsthand that got over $13,000 for ERAP that they do not need. And because it's a private landlord, then they're paying their rent up for a year, for 6 months to a year. They can afford to pay their own rent. If you need ERAP, this is a bigger issue. You need to educate these tenants and hold these individuals who are employed to do a job, to do their job. And lastly, the inspectors. They're getting paid to do a job. There should not be any oversight. How do I know? Because I personally had one. But because I care, I still, resolve the issue that they missed. They're getting paid to do these jobs. Nobody, if we have inspectors come, whether there are 1,000 inspectors or 100, when they come out to a site, they need to do their job and they need to report accurately. Because nobody, with the amount of money that you all are paying
That's
for
right.
the housing, then nobody should be living in unlivable conditions.
That's right. That's right.
What are you guys going to do about that?
That's right.
As well as the landlords and the tenants.
Good luck with that.
I'm not going to disagree with anything you said. were talking, I was thinking the mayor really needs to be standing here.
Oh, cut it out. You here. You can get the word to her.
Accountability, the executive side of the government comes under the mayor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Sheila Lunn. You started off this conversation talking about the expulsion of our council member.
You bring it down.
Sure.
Okay, there we go.
You started.
Oh my God.
How about that? You started off this conversation talking about the expulsion of our council member, meaning we have no representation during this budget session, no representation at least until the middle of July when the special election happens. And I also understand that you are carrying over the staff until about April 4th, but wanted to raise with you, this community still has issues and concerns. Will you consider extending, at least having the director of constituent services or constituent services team still employed until there is a new council member? As we just heard from this young lady about her issues with housing, we need somebody focused on us. I understand we have at-large council members like you, but you have teams, you cover the whole city. So I wanted to bring that to you to ask if you would consider keeping at least the constituent services team on board through until the next council member is elected. So that
The short answer is yes.
I don't hear that.
Yes, say it loud so we can all hear.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Y'all heard it now. All right.
Chairman, could I interrupt with a question from the chat? Can't hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Let's talk up.
Okay, the question is from Bannon Matchett. They're a 25-year plus resident in Ward 8. Their question is, greetings. If there is a $1 billion funding cut, what formula or method will be used to determine the prioritization of services and for whom? Ward, population need, health, safety, education, etc.
If we have to go through with the $900 million, maybe $1 billion cut, there are no services that will be unaffected. Everything will be affected. That's why we are working so hard to try to get the Senate to put their language back in. And if that fails, we are looking to see if we can figure out a workaround. But there's just no way at $1 billion that we would be able to avoid impacting a ward, impacting a service. Police will be affected, fire will be affected, schools will be affected, trash pickup will be affected, everything will be affected.
Imagine that.
I can still hear you though.
I've gone through more microphones at this town hall. You guys are wearing out the microphones.
I think on that last question they were asking how you prioritize it. Everybody's going to be affected. I think you understand that. But more so, what is going to be the prioritize?
I don't think I can say what the priorities would be, because I don't think there can be priorities at that level.
Okay.
That's almost about 10% of our budget that has to be cut. But in 6 months, which is like 20%, the effect of 20%, we have to do in 6 months a year's worth of savings.
How about we do an audit?
No, it's horrible.
Find the money you're wasting.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I understand that thank you for coming. And that was short picky. I was on the meeting last week. I understand that there have been some improvements in child care subsidy, and that will cause a lot of parents to apply. But there is a concern if the money runs out, there will be a wait list as every other agency. are you able to prioritize preventing cuts to child care subsidy? Also, I was gonna come up here and talk about PQ and cutting free K, but I'm not gonna beat the dead horse about child care subsidy. Go ahead.
As I already said, I recognize the importance of pay equity. I recognize the importance of PQ. I have to see what the mayor's proposed budget is. If she doesn't cut those programs, I absolutely will support them, and I do not think the council will reduce it. I expect that.
That's right, Kim Jones. I agree with you. Cut their
I hope it
salaries.
will not be proposed to be eliminated. Again, I understand the importance.
Hey,
of it.
Richie Rich.
I will
It's gonna
do
take all
everything
of
I
us.
can to restore
You hear how they
funding to
talking?
Pay equity.
They not
and
ready for
necessary
Trump.
PQ.
They not ready to
I
fight.
was asked earlier if I could guarantee. I cannot
More of the
guarantee.
same.
I do not know what the
We,
budget
the
proposal
people,
will look like.
must vote
And
them
there are a
out.
lot of competing needs. So the competing needs in the education sector. For instance, if we want to keep our teachers in schools, we have money in the budget for experiential learning, for teacher wellness. If those are cut, that's a priority. That competes with other needs. Access to justice, I'm almost certain the mayor's going to propose to cut that. That provides legal assistance to lower income residents who are fighting for their housing in landlord-tenant court.
Oh,
or
cut that
who are
mess.
fighting
That
with the
mess
federal
ain't
government
working.
Over benefits programs. That's really important. If I don't know what she's going to
Cut that mess and enforce it on the landlords.
She has to cut. The need, there isn't the money.
Look at him. Look how he's standing.
If she cuts in the area of housing,
I look at
housing is
posture and
really
behavior.
important. So all these different needs are going to be competing against each other.
Okay, well, I would come up with,
Sad.
if I showed up to work and said, I don't know, it would be a problem.
That's right.
I didn't hear that clearly.
If I showed up to work and said, I don't know, I don't have an answer, it would be a problem.
Well, I appreciate that, but let me put it to you this way. You don't have enough money.
It's been working all these years.
And that's everybody.
Which one are you going to pay?
That's everybody right now. That's what everybody here before you. And that's what we're trying to tell you. You're cutting you're cutting the pay equity from how these people live. And then you wonder why they're on assistance. And you're upset that you gotta pay for assistance, but you're putting them back on assistance because you cut their pay. What do you want them to do?
That's right.
Exactly what you're saying. There is about, I'm going to say roughly $750 million that has to be cut out of next year's budget.
You said that.
Okay, I'm saying what you're saying. Generic answer.
We're going to look,
But at the
I
end of
will
the day,
look
I
for,
feel like if you trusted y'all in these positions,
Yes.
it's up to you. You're the people with the degree. You're the expert. You have to figure it out.
They don't know.
I appreciate you saying that.
They don't know.
I appreciate
That's why we have to vote.
the metaphor of you can't pay your electric, your gas, or your water bill. Which one are you going to prioritize?
We're going.
What we are going to do, what the council will try to do, is to find where we look for savings that do not affect programs or have an effect that's of less impact.
How about we audit some of those contracts you keep awarding and we're not getting the impact that we deserve?
I'm more than willing to look at contracts.
I would love that.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Lawrence Person, and I'm a long-time resident of Ward 8. And my concern is our voice. What steps are you taking to ensure our voices are heard when policies and decisions about policies are made, and ensure that our voice is not overshadowed by outside influences like outside developers who want to come into
That's
Ward 8
right.
field, and also against landlords that don't live in Ward 8 that can persuade the council to vote in their direction.
Uh-huh.
So what steps are you taking to ensure that our voices are heard?
Many of you know I'm no stranger to Ward 8. I'm just talking about myself, and you're asking about me. I'm no stranger to Ward 8. With the absence of a Ward 8 council member, I'm redoubling my efforts to be available in Ward 8. That's why I'm here tonight.
Yeah, we're going to recruit them to go with us to Congress. I hope y'all recruiting people for us. Y'all see we got to go to Congress.
Real property taxes in Ward 8, I think.
Good job, Andrew.
And, I have a monthly meetup which we're doing in Ward 8, so I'm making myself more available in Ward 8. Every member, every elected official is responsible for
What's
their
her name?
own priorities in terms of whether
Okay,
they
I'll
care
be on the
about
lookout.
the board, whether they care to show up, whether they care to listen to people. I've been in office a long time, and I think you all know that I work hard to listen to communities. All I can say is that that's my commitment, and that's what I will continue to do.
It's time for action.
Hello, my name is Barbara Cooper, and I am the president of Marbury Plaza Tenants United for Change. We've been through a lot. We've been down to the Wilson building talking to you all several times. See, y'all talk a good game, but you don't walk a good walk. I'm disappointed in all of y'all, especially the men. This young lady right here that just got up and spoke, she was speaking nothing but the truth. How can y'all expect for us to pay rent when the building is falling down? And then you allow people to come in from different cities and countries and states and buy up the property, and y'all expect for us to pay our rent. I'm not paying nothing. I'm just letting you know up front. See, because just because I live in Southeast, that doesn't mean nothing.
That's right.
See, the system is fixed for us to fail.
That's right.
Y'all can break the law and get away with it.
That's right.
But if we break the law, we're going to go to jail. Look at the president. Look at what he did. But he's still back in the White House. He broke the law. But if it was me or Obama, we're going to be locked up. My thing is, we came down here, we put papers under every door. We gave it to every council member in there. The HART Act. The HART Act. Put some bite into the people that you have doing the jobs. I can go out there and walk around and say, oh yeah, I see a hole in the wall, and I go back and say it's fixed. How do you know it's fixed and don't like come back out and check and make sure it's fixed? See, I'm tired of the talking. But y'all can put up new buildings. Stop putting up new buildings and fix the buildings that you got. Where did the homeless people go? Let me ask you that question. They, all of a sudden you had to get them homeless people off the street. Where did y'all put them at? Where are they? Are they okay? Is they safe? We don't know where they're at. So my thing is, I'm tired of hearing about it's a money problem. Who made it a money problem?
That's right.
You all made it a money problem.
That's right.
Because you don't know what you're doing.
That's
because
right.
If you knew what you was doing, we wouldn't be in the predicament that we're in. Our black brothers go to jail, they get locked up, they come back home, they can't even get a job. Because y'all don't have a decent program for them to get a job. And then you wonder why they do the things they do. Because y'all got the system fixed up so they can fail. That's what y'all got it like that. Social Security. People on Social Security. Oh, you can't have no more than $2,000. My mother fell down the steps and broke her leg and got paid for that. She had to live off of the money that she sued for. They cut her off of Social Security until she could get, go back on to Social Security. What sense do that make? If she want to put that money up for her grandkids?
Barbara, I'm not going to defend any of that. And I've tried to be helpful, and I know that you're totally frustrated because Marbury Plaza is still not in a decent condition.
Not only Marbury Plaza.
I don't know
That's
what
right.
the council can do. The Attorney General took the owner to court. That property has been tied up in legal action. We are looking at the law in terms of what tenants can do with regard to withholding rent. That's one of the provisions that we're looking at. I'm all for trying to get
Mendelson, I don't mean to cut you off. I really don't. But it's not just about Marbury Plaza. Because one thing about Marbury Plaza, Tenant United for Change, we're going to fight with you or without you. See, and this is what we all need to do. Because at the end of the day, it's the mayor. The mayor is a coward. she's a coward because she don't come out, she don't face the people, all she do is run. And I'm going to say what I feel. That's on my heart. If somebody got a problem with it, don't charge it to my heart, because I'm going to speak my peace.
That's right.
I'm going to speak my peace. I'm sick and tired of the same thing. It's always the black people that struggle. We done struggled enough in this world.
Tell them, baby. Tell them.
Period. Period. You may not like what I say, but I appreciate you. See, because it's only one person can judge us, and that's God. He sits high and he looks low. Don't you ever forget that.
That's right. That's right.
Let me say something real quick. I want everybody to understand that we are on a time constriction, right? No reflection on last speaker. I'm just saying to the speakers who are in line now, we have six, seven people in line, and if we're going to get a question from each of you, we have to get those questions out, give him a chance to respond. We have less than 20 minutes.
Please.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Okay. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I actually have a meeting with you, but it's not for another 8 weeks to speak about my tenants. I'm the president of the Tenants Association at St. Elizabeth East.
That's right.
It's less than 5 years old. We have everything from black vote. Absolutely. So I'm the president of the Tenants Association for residents at St. Elizabeth East. And it's less than 5 years old. And we have black mold, open sewage leaks. I've already spoken to several council members about that, so I'm not going to go into that right now. But you just spoke to a disconnect with DHCD or DCHD.
All of them.
DHCD in the permanent building.
Okay, so I wonder, I need to know what's going on about accountability and ethics, right? Y'all hold our council member accountable, right? But I just got a fictitious report from DLEE saying that with pictures that are from a completely different day. Like the inspection happened on a rainy day. I got a picture that looked like sunshine, y'all. It's disheartening. What are we gonna do to hold the landlords accountable? We got people sick.
Please give your contact information either to Monique Diop, who was saying she's at the end of her work for Destiny.
What you gonna do differently?
So what's going on with the ideas? I'm sorry.
What you gonna do differently?
Is you don't know. You're bringing fresh ideas to the table.
That's right.
Because it sounds like playing incompetence. Everything is a circle, and everybody. The only people that are benefiting are the landlords. And it seems to be like the city council and all the government workers, because I've seen them scramble to minimize everyone's experience with these reports. I've seen people get fired because they won't minimize.
Speak.
It's colorful and it's scary.
Yep.
I hope I'm not coming across as minimizing, because
So I'm happy to be talking to you. But I can share, what I have with you. Yeah, we can get in contact.
Please, or Destiny, either Monique or Destiny. And we'll see if we can move up the appointment from 2 months from now.
Considering they've been on your list since July of last year.
Good evening. My name is Juanita Briscoe. Everyone has actually said before me what I wanted to say. I am Ward 7 resident, but I am a Ward 8 resident for life because I was raised here. I fought here.
That's right.
I did crime here. But I'm fighting here today.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. My eyes are open. I see now what the system has been doing to Ward 8-7, and part of 6 is fixed up now. However, what has been happening over the years, when that young lady got on the phone and she talked about the conditions of her household, the mental health conditions that our children are going through, that touched my heart. That touched my heart. So I only had one question for you all. And I'm going to say this, because I say this to Marvin White. When I go and vote, because voting is powerful, my ancestors allowed me to have that power.
That's
when
right.
I go to vote, I put my name in the ballot, Juanita Briscoe, because I don't trust you guys anymore. I voted for you before, but not no more. I voted for the mayor. not no more.
That's right.
We need a new man.
That's right.
We need new people who are going to be for the people and not the gatekeeper people.
That's
and
right.
Keep us in the trenches and keep us scrambling and struggling and we go to school, we get our degree, but still today with a degree, I'm under that poverty level. Why? Why do the system feels it necessary to keep a certain group of people into poverty and a poverty mindset? As much as we do, as much as we go forth to try to get a better life, why? Why are children out here scrambling and fighting and killing? Why is this went on years ago? You all keep going back to the drawing board. Why? Why the problem's not fixed? That's what I want to say. I'm wondering.
Well, it's a pretty fundamental question. Why is it that we have not made progress solving problems? Why is it that we have not made progress in solving the legacy or changing the legacy of racism? I don't have easy answers for you on that, and I think that government is not as creative or thoughtful or as committed to some of these changes as it needs to be. That's my own view. Yes.
Good evening.
And that's all. That's it. That's all.
President, and I'm a homicide survivor. I lost 2 sons to murder. One in April of 22. My second son was murdered in June of 23. And I meet with a group of women once a week that we're in grief therapy. And we're people helping people is the name of our group. And we're angry because too many cases are unsolved. And the mayor has never contacted any of us. And the detectives sometimes don't answer the calls. So it's a lot of frustration going on. But I'm here to say we got to save our children, because it's a lot of pain in our city. There's mothers from all 8 wards, so this is my ward, and I came to tell y'all I'm hurting, and there's a lot of mothers in Ward 8 that are hurting, and we need answers, and we need help.
Yeah. Let me get a card out of here so I can go hug her.
Thank you for sharing that, and I'm so sorry.
You gotta stop being sorry. We need more than sorry.
I've been very frustrated with how the mayor has approached public safety in this city in a couple of ways.
Can I get this back to you?
One of them is
He can ready to put it on the mayor now. That's how he get out of it. That's his famous answer.
Blaming business.
Adequate sources for police to solve crimes and to put pressure on the U.S. attorney to prosecute when folks are arrested. And if you don't prosecute, then there really isn't consequences for committing a crime. And if you don't solve a case, then you don't arrest somebody, and there's no accountability for the crime the person committed. It's clear to me that those 2 strategies, increasing the number of arrests, that's case closures, robberies, just to give you a sense, less than 30% of robberies are closed as an arrest. Homicides, this is a couple of years ago, but less than 50% of homicides are closed within 12 months of the crime being committed. And I think being more focused on that as a priority, instead the mayor attacked us with regard to the criminal code revision. The mayor talked about how we need more police, we need to lock people up longer. We know from research that longer sentences doesn't actually deter crime. So I think the priorities are misplaced, but I would add this as well, because you spoke about your 2 sons. We could be doing more through our schools to help kids so that they don't end up getting into either side of violent crime. And I don't think there is not enough focus there. And I'm speaking more specifically of kids who are missing school and kids who are not being able to read at grade level. A kid who's not able to read at grade level is a kid who ultimately is going to be frustrated and probably drop out. Certainly is going to be challenged getting a good job or getting decent wages when he or she grows up. And we're failing our kids that way. And kids who are missing school oftentimes are self-identifying that there's something wrong. So why don't we take that self-identification and reach out and find out why the kid is missing school, deal with whatever that problem is. Could be housing, could be trauma, it could be some mental illness in the home. Deal with that, help, so that that kid gets back into school. We're missing those opportunities. When we miss those opportunities, and more kids are going to get into trouble. And then we're going to see the kind of violence that you spoke about. And it doesn't have to be that way. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Gino Dunnington. I'm a community expert dealing with mental health, substance abuse, and HIV and AIDS. I'm also a voucher recipient. My first voucher I got was from HOP, Housing Opportunity for People with AIDS. It was in 1997. I have been on a voucher. I have never, ever, ever not paid my rent, my portion. I say that because I want to connect it. Housing and health are together. Yes. In the climate of today, I wonder if I'm going to be able to get my HIV medicine when all this CBOs are running out of funding. There's no money for ADAC. I somehow have survived to my 69th year here.
All right, all right.
I have fought for my mother. I fought for my grandmother. I fought for all my elders and ancestors, all 9 of them, from Ward 8. My grandfather's house was 300 Howard Road Southeast. My family's church is Our Lady Perpetual Help. My uncle built the wall and said they'd have to build the first wall so the wind could be held. When it comes to housing, that I only get a call from come recertification time. Only time. Okay?
I'm certainly not going to defend that.
I have been through Building Futures, Greater Washington Urban League. I am now with Housing Counseling Services. I know all of them. I set up the needle exchange for the city with Ron Daniels. We have fought for funding. We've given out needles. We've given out condoms. We've done that. But there is no checks and balance. As a matter of fact, what my case manager, who works for Greater Washington Urban League, says is I cannot not pay my rent, or I'll get kicked out of the program. I was called last month to say, you must send me a receipt for your rent that you paid, that I paid. And if you don't, we'll kick you out the program. You got inspectors. Everybody has always talked about these things. You got all these checks and balances that don't work. I've been on the IZ program for the last 8 years, 6 years maybe, 6 to 8, I forget. We just recertify and we add for apartments. Those apartment sizes are usually in the basement or they're 400 square feet. Checks and balances. All these things, they're in place. Like the lady said, there is no EFIC, or what's emergency financial aid. There regular assistance. There was $80,000 in that the mayor also cut because landlords pushed the council and everybody to say, I wasn't paying my rent.
That's right. Tell them.
I pay my rent. Many people do. I have worked hard to be where I am at 69 years old. And I do drive an Infiniti. It's a 2012, but it's paid for.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. You got your point.
But that's something the council and programs are already set up that the checks and balance could help. Because you have them, they just don't work.
That's right. Enforcement, oversight.
I think everybody appreciates that you got that Infiniti. No, I mean, you make a good point. And our oversight is going to be more on a macro level than a micro level, so we're not going to see what's happening to you individually.
Gotcha. But you do have those grants out, and those reports are coming in that case management are going to people's houses, that inspections are being done, and this should be done on a daily or monthly. Matter of fact, case managers should be seen every month because some programs write up a report and you have to write up a budget because I've also helped with that. That you have to write up a budget with every client. The client must sign it, the case manager must sign it, so it goes to the office.
Yeah. Well, we do. He's Marbury Plaza. Okay. He Marbury Plaza. Yeah. No, I was telling Juanita. She said we need to talk to him. I said he with us. Great points.
Right. Good afternoon, Chairman.
Great points. Good job.
Nancy for 8801. Thank you.
Gotcha.
We've heard a lot of conversation tonight about money and money issues and resource issues. And I just want to remind us, DC is one of the wealthiest cities in the world.
Yep.
Not just the nation, in the world.
Mhm.
In Washington, DC right now, white wealth is 81
Times.
higher.
That's right.
Just 81%
Times.
higher than black wealth.
That's right.
You cross that bridge, you lose 10, 20 years off of your life.
That's right.
Then when you're on the west side.
That's right.
I moved from Ward 6 to Ward 8 almost 10 years ago. My experiences in Ward 6 has no comparison to
That's right.
Ward 8. DC fiscal policy has put out several recommendations on how DC can actually have an equitable and inclusive tax system to raise the revenue that we need.
Yep.
2% of people in DC earn 30% of the income.
That's right. That's right.
The tax cuts that were passed went to the top 2 and 3% earners that have over $500,000.
Speak.
So if you want to tackle racism, you tax the people that's holding the wealth.
That's
We are
right.
concentrated in poverty. You allow wealth to be concentrated west of the river in white communities, accessing everything. So how do we raise property? How do we raise income? We raise the tax on the people who are not paying their fair share. With all the billionaires, I subscribe to the Washington Business Journal. All the billionaires that are purchasing these houses got a lot more wealth that we can tax. The council and the mayor has not pushed forth a progressive tax system to actually redistribute wealth that has been hoarded, stolen, and concentrated and brought over here.
Yep.
And so if you want to know how to tackle it, you raise the wealth on those who are hoarding it, and you spread it equally. You also give reparations to black people in this city who, without that wealth distribution, have no opportunity to
come out. That's right.
81 times the wealth.
That's right. That's right.
White income, west of the river, 6 figures, 150,000. Average income for Ward 8,
38,000. That's right.
We can't keep having poverty jobs, poverty pay, poverty every damn day. You want to do tackle racism? Redistribute.
Deal with the
wealth.
economics.
Use
That's
that
right.
wealth in ways to get to the root causes, and you raise those
There you
taxes.
go. That's my word.
The council
Root
has the
cause.
ability to push a policy through. DC fiscal policy, the tax commission, they did all the, I went and testified, I even did a town hall for them. You have ways right now where you can raise the tax on the wealthiest and you can give more tax
They're
breaks
not gonna do
to the
that.
lowest income. They
That's
get tax breaks for renters. How many homeowners like myself get a tax break? Raise your hand. But how many renters get tax breaks on the amount of rent that they're paying and paying so many mortgages?
That's
there
right.
are ways we can raise tax and redistribute and be more equitable. And the excuses, I have to agree with my neighbors, are just lame.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
And if, people don't know how to oversight or do something else, we have to ask ourselves the question, why are we in the positions that we're in?
Right. That's right.
Wow.
Good.
So what the Fiscal Policy Institute isn't telling you is that we have raised taxes on the wealthiest people, both income taxes and real property taxes, 3 or 4 times in the last 4 years. We've raised taxes on the wealthiest people.
Keep raising because they
And
still
what the
make
Fiscal
money.
Policy Institute also isn't telling you is that when you compare our tax structure with every state in the union, we are the most progressive. That means that wealthy people pay a higher proportion of their income in taxes than lower income folks. We have the most progressive tax in the country compared to any state. So they don't mention that. They just say tax more, tax more, tax more, and spend more, spend more, spend more.
I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
that, Councilmember, but we're also very
I
non-progressive.
recognized him.
Hello. Hi, Council.
That just means you were effective when they get rude.
So I do want to acknowledge your presence. Thank you for being here today. I truly appreciate you for being here because you didn't have to, but because you did, we definitely do appreciate it. I want to recognize my young people, Emmanuel, Zamia, and Esther. Those are my young people, and the fact that we don't have a lot of young people truly bothers me. So the fact that we truly don't have a lot of young people here bothers me because we're the next generation.
That's right.
We're the people who y'all need. We're the everyone in this room. Y'all need us. So we
Give her the link. Tell her we need her voice.
And to the point,
Now I'm having a youth hearing.
I was personally invited. I should thank you. I know. I'm definitely sure, and I'm showing up, and I'm showing up with the young people, and we're gonna make our voices heard. And so with that, I do want to acknowledge, instead of taking from the DCPS, why don't we take from your picture?
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of the mouth of babes.
Whatever you make, whatever much money you make, let us take from that instead of taking from those young people who actually need the money to, get what we want to get into. You have a lot of young people in Ward 8 right here who have ambitions, who have goals, who have aspirations. And I know it's not on you, but because the mayor was too scared to come, I'm going to say it to you. We have young people who have goals, ambitions, and aspirations that they want to do. Yet because they don't have the funds to do so, we do what we want to do. And you see a lot of them on the street. So, I mean, it's not our fault. Right. And so with that being said, and I heard the man earlier, he said he don't know how he made it until he made it by the grace of God. I'll put it right
for me, please.
And then I'm going to try to be brief because a lot of people
we need your voice.
Next of all, I want to highlight that he said that he fought. We too have to fight. And so since I do have to have a question, how can we be empowered to ensure that we're fighting? Because a lot of us here, we have a lot of talk, yet a lot of us ain't doing nothing.
That's right. That's right. I love it. Love when my kids talk.
But what are we doing to
listen
ensure
at my babies?
Making sure we can change. Don't expect to see change that you're not doing nothing about it.
That's right. Hey guys, the phone's gonna cut off. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let it go all the way till it cuts off. Thank you guys for your support. Share the feed. Get the word out. We're going to Congress April 29th. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
When we reach out to office, you don't answer.
I need you. I need you.
Reach back out to us and talk to us one-on-one. I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk to this guy. I want to
share
talk
the
to you.
feed. Thank you.
My.
So how can we empower youth?
Yeah.
The simple answer is you can empower yourself. You got a feet, you got a voice, you got a hand. You can write, you can phone, you can protest, you can knock on doors, you can empower yourself.
You can vote. You can vote them out. That's what you can do. Yes.
Yep.
That's it. Sort of answer. And it's sort of where I, at the beginning of the meeting, when I said you all can help with regard to what Congress is doing right now. If you want, by phone in. I mentioned a couple of senators, or key senators, who are going up there and knocking on doors. Or if you know of parents, there's some parent groups, I believe, who are going up to the Senate tomorrow. Those are all ways that you can empower yourself. Sometimes it's just one person. It feels like it's a big system. It's kind of hard to make change. But often when you have the right view, meaning that there are other people who agree with you, and you join together, then it becomes powerful. And we've seen that from time to time in this city and in this country.
No, you don't keep talking. Okay, I thought she was just standing there for moral support of the young fellas.
I was leaving.
Committee woman, Ms. Pixie, unfortunately, my phone just died.
Good. I was leaving. Mr. Chairman, I wasn't going to say anything, but on Sunday, thank you for coming. On Sunday, I had the honor of visiting Cambridge, Maryland, for my third or fourth time, but I got something different this time with a group of women and a few gentlemen. And the most important part, the one, was when we visited the Black River. And when you read this in books, and they told it in school when I was in school, I'm 55 in Google, they don't teach it anymore, about what took place in the Black River and the song, Wade in the Water. Children wading in the water.
Wade in the water. Yeah.
And waited until the water, until it was safe. To move to the other side, to freedom. And what's going on today, I feel like our freedom is being snatched away.
Yes. Speak, Queen. Speak.
But what I gained on Sunday, and I'm driving up the road, and those who carpool with me were just seeing children wading in the water. I feel empowered, but I feel like you and Mayor Bowser need to do the Wakanda code.
I tell him, Queen.
I know you say you want a medium,
For people that know me, I don't do medium. I'm either here
That's right.
or quiet. And I felt like you need to do the Wakanda code because the Democrats have been too damn quiet.
That's
yes,
right.
I am the Ward 8 committee woman.
Come on.
We've been quiet.
Speak.
We're laying down, taking whatever this man is giving us, going at us and doing to us. Make the Wakanda code because guess what? People are going to come.
That's
Not
right.
just from D.C. The DMV is going to come and support us because quiet is kept. These other jurisdictions survive off of us.
That's right. That's right. That's
And
right.
I've never been a supporter of me. I've never voted for her, but in this trying time, where our voice is being taken,
Yes.
silent,
Yes.
we need to come together. Make the call, Chairman.
That's
'Cause
right.
we got y'all back. But if you don't, if you keep being quiet as a Democrat, you a Democrat. If you keep being quiet, they're going to just walk all over top of us.
That's right.
Stand for something.
That's right. Then a fall for anything.
fall for nothing.
That's right. That's right. Speak, Queen.
We have power. That's right. And we need to start utilizing this power.
Yes.
We have help here in D.C., not just in Ward 8. I
They
think
can't
it's
get
time
out of their
to
guilt.
make us
They can't
walk
get out of
out.
their own way. They're guilty.
It's time to stand up.
That's right.
Because like someone said, if we don't see the fight, y'all gonna feel it at the polls.
That's right. You can count on that.
We don't have nothing else.
We're not going back. We're going forward.
I know what you're saying. And my view is, so as I said earlier, I think everybody has a different view of just how outspoken or critical or pushing back would be. My view is we push back on DC issues. There's a lot of stuff going on that I really don't like. It's on a federal
Well, that's what
level,
we'll be
on
talking
an
about.
international level. I think it threatens our country. My view, given my position, is that I push back on DC.
Y'all get some kids to ride to the streets at downtown. Tomorrow, downtown, at the
Coming on the 26th, it's in DC.
tomorrow.
We going down on the 29th. Get all this mess out the way.
Go see the senator. To ask for
Clean
the
up.
same. Please.
Yeah, I'll be your voice pastor. I'll be your voice pastor.
All these CPS is out of school. Take them to the Senate building. Give them a ride. Give them a ride. That's the one. Get the kids up.
Hey guys, we out here in the streets. You see the work is real. First we say about city and then we remove this lame leadership. It's your girl, I need you. Come on my social media warriors, get those conversations going. We're going to Congress April the 29th. After all this kowtow and knee bending, we're going down to talk to our congressional members to put them on notice. So let's go, DC. All right, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight.
Coming out and put the fire to the ministry.
Oh, thank you.
The chairman's done a wonderful job of agreeing disagree with them. We do have some refreshments in the back. If you haven't signed in, please sign in.
Oh, you have
so
some
that
flies. Can I get these to
Barbara? Can keep you informed.
Barbara.
Of the upcoming meetings. Thank you and good night.
All right, guys, I gotta go up here and speak to Mendelson. I'll leave it on the phone.
So my question was, you said that, I just want to be clear, because from my understanding, the Black Lives Matter thing had to come down because Trump forced her to take it down. And you just said that wasn't it.
No, she said she always envisioned using that space for something else.
I'm not going to be recording what I said. I don't agree with it.
Because you know it's true. Well, let's shake hands. And we need a meeting real soon.
Okay.
Real soon. Where Destiny at?
Mr. Mendelson?
Let me get a picture of him in the
Oh, okay,
basket.
go ahead.
Real quick, y'all.
Yeah, we'll get that picture as well.
I got quite a few in there.
I'm with the past.
Mr. Mendelson. You know we are. So why wouldn't you task us?
Well,
the Heart Act is a smart approach.
Come on, Pass.
I owe you calling the heart.
Come on, Pass. We can do our own picture.
I think it's a separate question why I don't ask you to sit at the table and help me figure it out.
That's why
I
I
don't
said
think
what
it's
I
that
said.
simple.
We don't know
We're talking about a bureaucracy
He's too down
I want
on
to
the floor.
defend it. If you're